Jason Yates, the former CEO of My Faith Votes, a nonprofit organization pushing Christians to vote their values, has been charged with 8 felony counts for possessing CP material. And here's the twist. This is not his first offense. Yates has a prior conviction for similar charges that was later expunged. So how does a man with a record like this end up leading an organization centered on Christian values? The layers to this story are heavy, and they expose some serious questions about transparency, trust, and accountability. My Faith Votes isn't a small organization. This group claims to be a nonpartisan movement focused on mobilizing Christians to vote in every election, aiming to transform communities with biblical truth. With bold missions like these, they've become influential in the religious and political landscape. They produce voter guides, endorse candidates, and encourage believers to think about the morality and faith alignment of political leaders. In other words, they're not just another nonprofit. They're a voice shaping Christian values in the public sphere. Yates, as CEO, wasn't just a figurehead. He was the face of the organization, actively promoting moral and family values and influencing the beliefs of thousands. But while he was publicly advocating for Christian integrity, he was hiding a dark secret. It turns out Yates himself may not have been living up to the very standards he was preaching. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, or BCA, started investigating Yates on July 31st, 2023, after they received a tip that would set off a chain of shocking revelations. An unnamed witness handed over a hard drive to the authorities, one allegedly found in Yates's office and containing over 100 images of material. So, how did this hard drive come into the hands of law enforcement? According to the BCA's report, a relative of Yates discovered the drive by accident. They were simply looking for some extra storage and found this hard drive in his office. What they found on it, however, was anything but ordinary. Shocked by the contents, they handed it over to another person, who then alerted law enforcement. Imagine discovering that someone you trusted with your beliefs and values was keeping something like this hidden in their office. This wasn't just a case of a few misplaced files either. The BCA's digital forensics team uncovered hundreds of inappropriate images and videos involving Little. And these weren't old files either. Many were downloaded as recently as February and March of 2023, and the files had been accessed as recently as late July, just days before the investigation started. This was fresh, deliberate, and undeniable evidence. In September, during a meeting with BCA agents and his attorney, Yates made an admission that turned this case from disturbing to downright shocking. He revealed that this wasn't his first offense. He had a prior conviction for CP material. Although this conviction was later expunged, it doesn't erase the fact that it happened. So the big question arises, did My Faith Votes know about this? Did they know they were entrusting their mission and reputation to someone with a hidden criminal past? This revelation raises a whole new set of questions. If the board or his family members within the organization knew about his past, how did they justify letting him represent a group rooted in Christian values? Or was this a well-kept secret, even from those closest to him? When leaders are given such high levels of influence, it's expected that they will be held to the highest standards of transparency and integrity. But here we see that transparency may have been sacrificed to protect someone at the very top. And here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Jason Yates isn't just any leader within My Faith Votes. His family is deeply embedded in the organization. His uncle, Seeley Yates, is the founder and president of My Faith Votes, and his father, Michael Yates, is the CFO. Even his wife, Megan Yates, who sometimes goes by her maiden name West, works as a contractor for the organization, reportedly earning nearly $69,000 for her services in 2022 alone. This isn't just a family-run organization. It's a family with deep financial ties to the organization's success. With so many family members involved in leadership, it's hard to believe that no one knew about Jason's past. Was his prior conviction ignored or brushed aside to keep the organization's power within the family? These questions become even more critical when considering the influence My Faith Votes has over the Christian community, promoting its values as the guiding light for believers in politics and public life. Once the BCA investigation began, My Faith Votes claims they acted quickly. According to their official statement, they separated Yates from his role as CEO in early August, just after the investigation was underway. Chris Sadler, a board member, stepped in as acting CEO. But here's where things get murky. Despite claiming he was removed, Yates was still listed as CEO on the organization's website until August 19th, and it wasn't until September 5th that his profile was fully removed. So, what happened in that gap? If they truly wanted to distance themselves from Yates, why wait so long to remove his name and profile from their website? Was this a delay in handling a scandal, or were they hoping to quietly deal with the fallout? For an organization built on Christian values, these delays raise serious questions about transparency and honesty. Now let's talk about what's at stake for Jason Yates legally. Each of these 8 felony counts for CP material possession is serious. In Minnesota, each charge carries up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. If convicted on all counts, Yates could be facing a staggering prison sentence that could see him behind bars for decades. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. The charges are severe, and the legal system is treating them that way. Yates's case sends a clear message about the importance of accountability, especially when a leader fails to uphold the moral standards they impose on others.
Paul is calling out that even though we live in freedom, we don't live for ourselves. We live as Jesus did, repeating the words he said in the garden, "Yet not what I will, but what thou wilt."
Here's the thing. This case isn't just about breaking the law. It's about ethics and the moral obligations of those who represent Christian values. When someone preaches about the importance of integrity and morality, they're expected to live by those principles. Leaders in faith-based organizations are held to a higher standard because they're guiding others. But here, we have a leader who not only failed to live up to those standards, but actively betrayed them. It's not just a personal failure. It's a violation of trust that reverberates through the entire Christian community.
It's absence of true justice, and it's a self-oriented theology. And so we've got to get past that. The Lord didn't call us to think about our feelings and focus our ideas and thoughts on ourselves. He in turn called us, yes, to love others, but love comes in truth. Love comes in a lot of different ways, but to be involved and engaged. You don't walk by someone who's hurting and in pain and ignore them and call that love. In the same way, you could say you don't ignore your vote as a way to do good. Galatians 6:10 says, as we have opportunity, do good to everyone, but especially those of the faith. So if that's an opportunity to do good and we walk by it and we don't do it, well, that's not love and that's not faithfulness.
I hope you'll do the same. I'd encourage you to ask the Lord in prayer, how is he calling you to use your gifts, to make Christ and his grace known, and to stand boldly for him so that others may see there is something truly different about the Christian life.